Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. I have these sets of note cards that you get that are textured. I don't know if you can see the texture in them. I got these at AC Moore. There was a really good deal on them, and I thought, why don't I come up with something that'll be easy to do and fun? So what I decided I would do is, I thought I would do that smushing technique. I stamped the word hello in the inside from the same stamp set as my flowers, and that's from W+9. It's called Kind Soul, and the stamp looks like this. It's a big one. And so what I've done is I've cut my paper so it kind of runs down the center like that. And what I thought I would do is I would make it as simple as possible. And by that, what I mean is I'm going to take, this is carved pumpkin. Hopefully it matches. This is just a clean piece of acetate. Alright, I'm going to take some carved pumpkin and smear it on my acetate. And then I'm going to take my spray bottle and spray a little bit on there. And then I'm going to take a water brush and just mix it around like that. Our goal is just to loosely, hopefully you can see this, loosely color in our flowers. I'm not trying for any kind of real perfection. I just thought fun, all monochromatic watercolor might be the way to go with something like this. It'll be easy to make a set of note cards, and so that's what we're shooting for. And after we're done with this, then we'll do the leaves really fast. I have two colors of greens that I've mixed together that are both distress inks. Now you can use any inks. I'm using dye-based inks because they turn, they liquefy and are easy to turn into a watercolor. But you can use whatever colors or whatever types of inks you want, and you could play with whatever. You could use crayons and watercolor pencils. You could do anything with this. It's just it's just a way to use up some supplies that, like these cards. I bought a bunch of them. I saw Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter, talking about something that she's not going to buy anymore, and this was one of the things she said she wasn't going to buy anymore. And I thought, you know what, that's true. I buy these and then I don't really use them. I just have them. And so why keep buying them? So I'm going to use these up and not buy any more, hopefully, for a while anyway, until I can convince myself usually what happens is I get into Michael's and I see them and I go, oh, those are only $3 or $5 or whatever, and I'm convinced that I can't live without them because the envelopes alone would cost that much. I don't know if you do that to yourself or not, but that's how I always go, well, the envelopes alone are that much money. And that's the problem I have with it, is I convince myself really quickly that I have to have it just because it's a bargain. Well, it's not really that big a bargain when I don't use them. And I did learn that from Lindsay's cleaning of her room. So if you haven't watched her video on cleaning her room, that's the part of it I got out of it, was things like this that you don't really need, but you keep buying. And so that's the thing that I'm going to stop doing, is buying things I don't really use up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a little bit more ink and a little bit more water. And then what I did was I took my toothbrush. The cheaper the toothbrush, the better. If you've ever forgotten a toothbrush when you've been on vacation and you ask the hotel for one, or if you're in the hospital and they give you one, those are the best ones for this because they're really, really hard toothbrushes. You don't want the really nice ones the dentist give you because they don't have the kind of flickability that these ones have, and these ones really flick well. So I'm just going to flick some color on the background. If you want to, you could use some pearl essence kind of things to make it look pearly, but I'm just going to flick some color on the background like that and call that one done. Then I'm going to set it aside, and then I'm going to go on to my next color. And in the meantime, I'm going to get rid of that purple, purple pumpkin, not purple, pumpkin, and wipe off my background that's covered with the water that I have, and then clean off my toothbrush a little bit. I'm going to go on to the next color, and the next color, I'm not going to do red because I just did one that was like that. I'm going to do this fun green color because I was thinking this one would be really frisky. There's my color. I like to make sure I show you the color I'm going for. And then I'm going to smear that out onto my board. It's called Jelly Bean Green. It's from Colorbox. I love the Colorbox inks. They're from my favorite things. I really like those ink pads because they're really squishy, and I like a really squishy ink pad because they're easier for me to stamp with. This is a Spectrum Noir marker, and they are, it's like a glitter marker. I think that's what you call it, a glittery marker. And I'm just going to kind of put a little bit here and there on this one, in the centers of my flowers. And maybe my leaves. Just when I have a little bit of sparkle in there. You might not be able to see the sparkle at all. Whenever I'm watching other people do this on video, I think to myself, I can't see that glittery, sparkly thing at all, and they're going, oh, look how that sparkles, and I'm completely lost with the whole sparkle concept. Okay, can you see that sparkle? I'm going to turn it as many ways as I can so that you can see it. I think it's pretty fun. Okay, here's my clear glimmer spray. Can you see the glimmers all at the bottom? When you shake it, if you shake it like a bell, not up and down, but like a bell, like this. So let me see if I can try and spray this and get a little bit of it on the background without... Well, that worked. I didn't know if it would or not because my purple didn't want to play that game. Let me go down at this end. I don't have any. Oops. There we go. Oh, I see I got a little purple down at the end of my thing here. I did not really want that. Let me dry this off and let me come back because I want to show you something else that I've decided I'm going to start doing that's kind of a new and different idea for me. So I thought I would show you all of the ones I have done. Here is the yellow one, my turquoise. If you tilt them a little bit in the light, you can see the pearlescence on them, but it's kind of tricky to do that. Some are more pearly than others. Maybe you get a little glimpse of it there. I mean, the Wink of Stella kind of look. Some you can see it, some you can't. Hopefully you can on one of these. This one you should be able to. This is the one that's the most. It should have caught it in that light. Hopefully you saw it right there. And then the red. And then what I did was, this is the thing I've been thinking about doing for a while, and it's really been something that's been really all about how to take my envelopes up to the next level. Okay, I got a little carried away on this one, so I'm going to have to write really small. This is the front of the envelope. Then the back of the envelope looks like this. These are the purple ones I did. The purple ones are a little bit different than everything else. This one I have a bigger center on it, and then there's the back of it. I just thought I'd show you how I did a little bit of this, and I'm going to work on the red. And I started out with kind of where I want my how big I want my address portion to be. Then, I don't know if you've ever seen me do this, but this is my system for my peg stamps to hold them in place so I see exactly what I'm working with. And this is Bitty Peony. That is a foliage leaf. Chinese Privet. This is 3 Ripley flowers. This is another secret one. I bought some from a lady on Split Coast Stampers that were really, really old sets, and I don't know what the names are on those. This one I should have written it down. I think it's like a striped petunia, but I might be making that up. This is a Sopanaria solid. This is a bunch of daisies. They're teeny tiny, but they're really fun. This is kind of a big daisy. These are foliage leaves. Hopefully you can see all these. The dainty floral, then the 7-petal group solids, and a secret, and tiny apple open. Just see how it's open so that you can color in there if you want. And then these two are fun, but I can't find names on either of them. This is like a fuzzy fern, and this one is like a fern that has like little buds on it maybe. I think that one came from the old sets I bought. Anyway, this is how I keep them so I can see them. And then I put my inks in front of me. Like I said, I just started out with the colors, or the kind of the shape that I want. Then from this point on, now is when I can really turn it into something that's more fun to look at. And I'm using different colors: a raspberry ripple, rose red, I don't know what this one's called. It's called Poppy Parade, and then a couple greens. These are all Stampin' Up! Inks. And I'm just going to kind of randomly choose some colors or some different shapes to fill in. The reds, you would have thought, would have really had a lot of difference in them as you go around it, but unfortunately they all kind of look the same so far. Hopefully one of these is going to look different than the rest. One of these things better not be like the others. I'm going to try rose red and see what we get with that. No, pretty similar. You'd think, but not so far. I'm going to try and stay away from my center, because that was what happened the last time I got all excited about stamping and I just kept stamping toward the center of it. You got to stay away from the center because you're not trying to stamp there, you're trying to stamp on the outside or around the outside of it instead. Okay, there's that. And then I'm going to do one more little flower. Hopefully, I have a little flower somewhere that I thought would work. Oh, I want to do this little bunch of daisies, and this is going to be with this Poppy Parade, which should be a brighter color. I'm going to kind of, it's not, it's lighter. I don't know what my deal is. I just can't find a color that makes me really jump for joy. I'll stick one more in there. I like these, that pattern, and I did exactly what I said not to do. I stuck it right in there. So then I'm going to use the foliage leaf and some old olive, since my reds really are just kind of in there. And I'm going to, let's see, no, I don't want to use that one. I want to use that, a fuzzy branch maybe. Going for fuzzy branch. And then with this, what I did before is I kind of stamped it out from the center so that it makes it look more like almost like a wreath, because we're trying to make the whole thing look like they all belong. Like one of these things is not like the other. I don't like how it's so Christmassy looking, but that's what you get when you have red and green, right? And then I'm going to try with another green, and this is a secret green, True Time. It's a really kind of a dull green, but I thought I would stamp this one that looks like it's got blooms in it. I thought I would stamp that around the edge, and it brings in a little bit different color than the other one. And so that's what we're going to do. And of course I did what I said I wasn't going to do, and I took up more of my space. Then I'm going to go to the back, and for some reason I stamped all these in green, so I'm just going to go with that theme and just stamp some of these fuzzy branches into the edges of that. Oops, gotta get that again. Not sure. Now if you get that little mark on the edge, it just means you need to snip off a portion of your outer edge. When you have a stamp that it's primarily in the center, you'll just want to trim the edges off. It's just like any other stamp. I showed you how to trim stamps the other day. So it's the same concept. You just want to make sure that you are stamping so that you end up having the weird edges cut off. And don't be afraid, just don't trim your image. Okay, so there's my red one. I think that's all I wanted to show you as far as stamping. Obviously I'm gonna stamp the rest of them and make all of my envelopes ready to go, but I like the idea of turning my envelope into art, and this is so fast and so simple, and honestly it's so stress relieving. I have to be honest with you, that was the greatest part about doing it. Just stamping randomly is so much fun, and I really enjoy the peg stamps, and you can find them at www.pegstamps.com. And Lindsay almost always has a coupon code. I think it's Lindsay17 to get a percentage off. I might be wrong about that, but you can always check on Lindsay's site and see, but she usually does have a discount code for them. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you'll give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please tell one friend about me on social media because I love that. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.